Good evening, parents. Thank you for being here tonight and taking some of your time to come learn and listen about our dual language program here at Spanish Dual Immersion Academy. First of all, let me introduce myself. Some of you might have seen me before around here. I am Christina Rodriguez, the dual language director. I want you to, before we get started, think about 3 words, and I'm going to let you know what they are, but I want you to kind of keep them in your mind. Bilingual, biliteracy, and bicultural. The reason I invited you tonight is because I want to clarify a lot of misconceptions. You know, a lot of parents are skeptical about our program, and that's why I'm here today. This is a little overview of what we're going to talk about. We're not going to get in too much detail because, you know, eventually we're going to have other meetings where you're going to come and we're going to talk about each single topic. And we're here to guide you every step of the way, you know, especially if you decide to put your child or enroll them into our program. Let's start off with the mission. The mission here at SDIA pertains to providing equal opportunities to everyone, to all our children. The dual language program is designed to help students develop high academic skills and proficiency levels of, you know, both languages. In this case, our target language here at SDIA is Spanish. In addition, for them to appreciate and value culture, and not only their culture, but others as well. The vision, what do we see along the way? We want our children together as, you know, as a community, as a family, to be able to be lifelong learners. We want them to take the skills they learn here at our academy and, you know, take them with them through high school, through, you know, beyond high school, in life. We also target, you know, one of our main targets is to teach students to be caring and self-sufficient citizens. They learn to apply these skills later in life, whether it's locally or globally. And, you know, and as I mentioned earlier, the 3 words, we want them to obtain bilingualism, biliteracy, and multicultural skills so they could, you know, apply in their future. Here's a little, well, kind of a simplified version of our demographics. If you take a look at this, I mean, you can find a lot of more information on our website. But if you look at this, the blue pertains to the Hispanic race, and then you have African American being at 2% and white being 2%, and we have others such as like Asian and, you know, other ethnicities here, but we have a very small percentage. Our school is predominantly filled with Hispanic children. The only thing I want you to take in mind, just because we have a lot of Hispanic kids here does not mean that every child speaks Spanish. We do have a high percentage, 96%, but that's why we focus on the target language being Spanish, and that's why we have this academy, so our students could be bilingual, and we want them to become bilingual by 4th grade, and we're talking about fluent in both languages. Well, what is the dual language? The dual language program, it's like a big umbrella, and there's many models that apply to the actual dual language program. In a little bit, I'm going to get into the model that is offered here at SDIA, but I want you to take a look at this and understand what the program is about. In the dual language, the students are taught literacy and academic content in English and the target language. Here, the target language is Spanish. The goals of dual language are for students to develop high levels of language proficiency and literacy in both programs, meaning in both languages. And they also demonstrate levels of high academic achievement when it comes to standardized testing or just any assessment at that. And we keep mentioning the culture. It is important for them to understand the cultural perspective of others. So, you know, before we get started, I mentioned bicultural. Well, I've always said that it is important to learn a new language, and the reason being because when you learn a new language, you don't only learn the language, but you learn the culture behind it. And it's not just Spanish, there's many languages. You know, before I became the director, I was teaching, and I've always told my children that there are 4 main reasons why to learn a language. In this case, you know, we're focused on Spanish, but one is to discover the world. Deciding to learn Spanish is one of the best decisions you can make because you get to travel the world and communicate with others. Number 2, explore your community. As I mentioned earlier, we have a lot of Hispanic children that come from different Spanish-speaking countries. Their parents, do speak Spanish, or their grandparents, and they're able to communicate with them. And not only that, we're talking about Spanish being by far the most spoken language after English here in the United States. And number 3, you experience a new perspective. It's not just memorizing structures and words, it's also learning the culture behind it, as I mentioned before. And last but not least, create career possibilities. Knowing Spanish opens many doors to careers. It is a life-changing experience for these students when they start understanding that when you are bilingual or trilingual, whatever, that you have many opportunities in life. The program model offered here is our 90-10 model. According to research and studies, this model has been most effective of all. Why is it most effective? Well, I'm going to kind of give you a brief summary of what the model consists of. And first things first, we have our 3 main goals. The first goal is, again, for them to obtain academic achievement in both English and Spanish, to be fluent, to obtain that language proficiency, again, in both English and Spanish, and to be positive, have good self-esteem about themselves, and, have sensitivity towards others, appreciate others when they, share about their values and traditions. So let's take a look on here. In this model, 90% of instruction is provided in the L2 language, which is Spanish. In pre-K or kinder, depending when you enroll your child. If you enroll them for pre-K, they will start in pre-K, if not in kindergarten. But the goal is in those grade levels for them to get 90% of the L2 and then 10% in the L1 English. Eventually, the L2 decreases 10% every grade until balancing at 50-50. This occurs within the primary years of the student to aim bilingual skills by 4th grade. But this is the thing, this is where it gets a lot of parents. Well, they start to look at the 90% instruction in the L2. A lot of your kids speak English, so you get a little, scared, thinking, well, what is going to happen to their English skills? Well, that's why towards 4th and 5th grade, they obtain 50-50. We want them to balance them out. We're not going to forget the English language. And if you think about it, in school is going to be the only place where they're going to receive that L2 instruction. When they go home, everywhere else they go, because we're in a country where English is the primary language. So they're going to hear, listen, speak English everywhere. But in school, they're learning the Spanish. So that's where they get that's where the 90-10 and then eventually balances out. Here's just a simplified version of what I just said. Basically, kinder, we start them off at 90% Spanish with 10% English. And it just, as you can see, when they get to 4th, 5th grade, they're at 50-50. So we're talking about they're speaking Spanish and English at a fluent level. Here's just another version of it, as you can see. Same thing, kind of gives you another perspective of how the program works. On the next 2 slides, I'm going to show you a schedule of how how the students, they get the instruction here at SDIA. I'm not going to spend too much time on this because, again, things could change. Every year we look to see what we can improve on. But let's take a look at this. As of right now, this is what we have. So again, kindergarten, 90-10. Well, if you take a look at kindergarten, we have language arts. They take a total of 150 minutes, being reading 105 minutes, writing 45 minutes, math 80 minutes instruction, science and social studies 40 minutes. And again, this is why I tell you the English language is not forgotten. Language development for 30 minutes English. And this kind of is a consistency until, of course, they get to like second grade. You see how the second language starts decreasing? And now we're getting more instruction in English. If you take a look here, writing units, they alternate between now both languages because we're now in 4th grade and the students are able to write in both languages. And you can't, right here at the bottom, music, technology, all of their electives will be 30 minutes English, not sheltered. And of course, lunch is flexible. They're able to speak whatever language they wish to speak. And here is, the most important aspect of this all. Without parents, we have no student success. We need our parents. We need involvement, community involvement. Our ultimate goal here is to engage families in the community in all aspects of the dual language program, and together provide our students with all the support needed to obtain, the program goals. All parents are encouraged to attend trainings, language classes, and conferences to provide quality, additive aid to their child. And when we talk about that, you'll learn strategies. We'll give you a list of resources, how to find resources. Even, in some cases, we have gotten books donated to us that you can take home in both languages. We provide you with that here. We don't want you to feel like, like you're on your own. We want you to understand that we're here to guide you every step of the way, because together, we're going to obtain these goals for our children. There are some requirements for parents as follows, but not limited to. I want you to understand that you being involved is going to mean a lot to your child. The long-term commitment agreement is something that we help you to look at, and we discuss it together, and because it explains the advantages this program has to offer. It is long-term because we suggest that the child stays in the program all the way through elementary because of the benefits. Again, you must attend meetings and volunteer at least a minimum of 10 hours per semester relevant to the program. And this could mean you coming into the classroom, helping with activities, joining the PTA, or just helping the PTA in certain things, going to field trips with us, attending the family nights that we have once a month, and also parent storytelling. That's like the favorite of all our kiddos. They really love when parents come in and read stories, and it could be, since we do have a variety of languages, from diverse cultures, we have parents reading in all languages. So it's amazing to see that, because when you get involved, your kids see that, and it's, you're leading by example. Our staff here, we have an amazing staff here. We collaborate and we exchange information. We look at every aspect of the program to see we need to make improvements, what we need to change. Every year we try to make this program more effective, because we want to provide the best education for our children. Our teachers are trained to become familiar with the cultural backgrounds of their students. Since they interact with them on a daily basis, they go to trainings to use strategies and best practices to obtain information from their kids, to make them feel welcome, to make them feel appreciated, to value their culture. We even ask families questions about their celebrations, certain traditions, so we can compare and contrast. It shows validation of their culture, and it encourages to interact amongst their classmates, and they acquire that oral communication skills. It is essential to the learning of the target language. Effective practices such as culturally responsive teaching will be provided in opportunities to students so they can become selfless, long life learners in obtaining academic achievement. So these practices, the teachers go to these meetings once a month. We have professional development here at our school as well. And in some cases, we invite you so you could come and interact with our teachers. So the big questions are when, where, and how do I sign up my child for such a great opportunity? Do not let the timer beat you, because we have a lot of applications coming in, and once we fill up the classes, it's hard to get your child in. And this is another thing, we want to accommodate, and the way we structure the classes, it's to have a 50-50 balance of dominant English speaker and Spanish speakers. But this is the thing, don't miss the opportunity. So that's why you need to, submit your application as soon as possible. At least, when registration begins, you're welcome to bring that into our office. Parents must complete an application for the immersion program, which will be used to determine placement. In the application, there is a home language survey. This is, again, it determines where we're going to place your child, because we want to accommodate them to the best, appropriate structured class. Another thing that will be included is that commitment agreement. Once you sign that, that tells us that you want your child to be in the dual language all the way up till a 5th grade. These are some specific dates. They can change. We will send notification. That's how we get your email. We'll send it by way of email, by way of, we'll call you. It's on our bulletin board. You're always welcome to call us as well. I do want you to understand something. If you do not live in the zone area of the school, you could still apply, but it will be through the district, but it has to be done before February 21st. So just make sure that you put this in your calendar. But again, we will be sending notifications home. Here is a QR scanner. This is useful for resources for the dual language development. You're welcome to scan this in your packets. You have this as well. If you don't, we will still provide you with that information. Like I said, we always are here for you. I really do appreciate you being here tonight. I hope I was able to educate you on this. And I mean, I didn't spend too much time on the details of the program, but at least, I wanted to clarify any misconceptions. You're always welcome to my office. Like I said, I'm there throughout the day during school hours. If not, I have my assistant there, but we're here for you. If you have any questions, I'll stick around. Any questions you want to ask me personally. But again, thank you for taking your time and being part of your child's education, because again, when your children see that, it's, we're aiming for the same goal here for their success. Thank you all again.